That was one of Noshir Uncle's favorite hymns, Nearer My God to Thee. I'd request members of the family to now please speak.
Thank you so much for being a part of today's memorial service for Dad. It is unfortunate that we cannot all be physically present for the occasion, but given the current circumstances and caring for everyone's safety, as he was always wont to do, Dad would have wanted everything to do this remotely. We lived life to the fullest and never had any regrets. He came from very humble beginnings, and putting it in his own words, I've achieved more than I could have dreamed of. I've led a wonderful life, have the most loving family, had the dearest of friends. What more can anyone ask for? He was a tough man, yet had a very soft side, his eyes tearing up ever so often when he couldn't control his emotions. Yet in the end, he faced death like a lion. It must take the greatest bravery to say, what's the point in prolonging this? You're all by my side. Let's end it now. And when put to the ultimate test, fading away gracefully, knowing fully well that he would never see us again, he lay there with not a tear, bravely facing the journey to the other side. The pouring of condolence messages from everyone is testament to his popularity. But the short story or anecdote that accompanied almost all these condolence messages really drove home the fact that his kindness and willingness to help everyone was unlimited. He touched so many lives without ever expecting anything in return. Such was his generosity. In the end, his only request to everyone was that they take care of his precious wife after he was gone. I know that is a wish that everyone here will grant him without hesitation or question. As a husband, he was devoted and most loving. As a father, he was the rock in our lives. As a grandfather, he doted on his grandchildren. And as a father-in-law, he was nothing short of a loving parent. While nothing prepares one for the loss of a husband, a father, a grandfather, this is the circle of life and one has to accept it. Just as he wanted, we must now put the mourning and hurting behind us and move on with our lives, with all the happy memories of his time on earth with us. Goodbye and rest in eternal peace, dearest and most loved husband, dad, granddad, and dad-in-law. We know you will shower your blessings and watch over us, giving us the strength to go on without you. You were a great man. You lived a wonderfully happy life, and you will remain in our hearts forever.
Thank you for being here today to celebrate the memory of my amazing father. Dads are someone to look up to, someone to follow and to admire, someone to be proud of and brag about, someone to hold and someone to cry with, someone to learn from and respect, someone to listen to and talk to, someone to try and impress, sometimes rebel against, and someone most of all with one whom shares everything this wonderful life has to offer. I'm so incredibly grateful and happy that I can be here today and tell you that I've had all this and much, much more with my Dada. I have been truly blessed to have had Noshir as my father. To say I love my dad would be an understatement. I adored him, and to say that I'm going to miss him would be an even greater understatement. Dad loved life and he loved his family so, so much. His family meant the world to him. My father was the greatest man I ever knew. An ever-loving husband to Mummy, an adoring father to Jahangir and me, a doting grandfather, a caring uncle, a great advisor, and as you all know, he was an incredible friend. He was a really, really good father-in-law too. And he cared for everyone so deeply. I know if you are here, he touched your life in some way and he loved you very much. From his ICU bed, he wrote letters to some of his friends. Every one of them had one thing in common. Look after Roshni after I am gone. In one of his messages, he wrote to Mom, Janu, Mummy gave birth. You gave me life. From January 1961, 59 years. Such was his devotion to Mummy. He leaves with us his legacy of love and commitment to the family. So many memories of the special time spent with Dad flash past my mind, of him patiently teaching me to swim when I was 4, to waltz when I was 10 or 11. How special I would feel as a young girl when he'd ask me to waltz at the club meets in Assam. Dad taught me so much, mostly by example. His life was based on the Zoroastrian tenets of good thoughts, good words, good deeds. He professed kindness to all. He was known for his honesty and integrity. The one incident that has remained with me was a statement he made just as I was leaving to start my career in Hong Kong. He said, I know you will always do your best in everything you do. That sentence has been my guiding force through life. He had high standards, and we strive to live up to those standards. His character is the foundation of my conscience. Dad was a thorough gentleman, charming everyone with his warm smile and gracious spirit. He was generous to a fault. He was honorable, he was kind, he was charismatic, he was gentle, he was so loving and giving. Dad wasn't okay with only being a wonderful family man. He also wanted to give back to the world and help others in need. He cared with a passion and went out of his way to help anyone who approached him. I don't know of anyone who did so much for so many without expecting anything in return and felt immense pride in their success. As condolence messages came pouring in, so many mentioned the things Dad had done for them. May have been life-changing, like finding someone a great job. Some may have been seemingly smaller actions, like standing up for the underdog in a tennis match. Dada was so brave throughout his entire illness. He never shed a tear. When he knew his time has come, he made the bravest decision to meet his maker, only asking for his family to be by his side. His last wish was to have a tree planted in his name in Tully Club, his second home. I cherish the memories I have with my father, and I know he's smiling down on all of us. My darling, most precious Dada, you will forever be my hero.
Grandpa was always such a big supporter in everything that I did, constantly pushing and encouraging me to keep playing football, keep studying hard, and of course, keep hanging from a bar so that I would grow even taller. Every time we spoke, he would make sure to check what my height was. There wasn't anything that Grandpa wouldn't do for his family. And one of my fondest memories of Grandpa, and something I'll always remember, is how he would wake up so often at 5 in the morning just to make sure I got to Tolly by 6 and went for my ride in the morning. And though he was so tired and often falling asleep, he'd make sure to sit there and watch me. Riding, tennis, and in the recent months, golf, watching me take part in these sports put such a huge smile on his face. The pride with which he used to introduce me to his friends in the Shamiana and say, meet my granddaughter, my champion rider, even though I could just about barely canter. I happened to be in Calcutta around March this year, and thinking back, I'm so glad and to have finally played a round of golf with my grandpa. He was the proudest ever. With all four of us quarter brains running around the house screaming, there was never a moment where he lost his patience with us or got angry or irritated. In fact, he always wanted to join in the fun. Grandpa was an incredible human being, and he's touched the lives of everyone around him.
I aspire to be the kind, gentle, loving, helpful, and wise person that my grandpa was.
Us grandkids are so proud to have been able to call him our grandfather. Grandpa, you will be missed dearly, but there won't be a day that goes by that we won't be thinking of you. Thank you for being the best grandfather a girl could ask for, and you will always, always have a big place in our hearts.
Jeepu. This funny sounding name Didi and I gave him close to 20 years ago seemed so perfect for him. Grandpa was just too boring. We've always joked that we belong to royalty. Grandma, the Queen of Queen's Park, Jeepu the King, and he'd call Didi Princess Pooch, and they surely looked the part. While I did not receive a royal title, he surely made me feel like a princess and called me little thing. Though King of Queen's Park and truly a Norwegian knight, my grandpa would have been a fine king of any kingdom. Knowledge, grace, and kindness. Sorry.
Knowledge, grace, kindness. What more could anyone want from their king? But before we grew up and knew what a fine gentleman he was first our grandpa.
When we were younger, Mom and Dad would leave us with Jima and Jeepu when they went on holiday. Little did we know about this arrangement, but to us, we'd struck gold. Our oh-so-cool grandpa would come all the way inside the airport and escort us out. We'd prance into his office like it was our birthright, while numerous people would be waiting for ages to meet Bada Sahab, even for a minute. Golden oldies would play on repeat, and we'd dance all evening, finally falling asleep in his bright polo t-shirts, which of course we'd float in. But above all this, my favorite would be time spent in his natural habitat, stretched out on the TV room sofa. I'd sit on his shoulders, comb his hair, giving him a middle parting, and from then on he became Abdul Kalam. Didi would spend hours teaching him to use the phone, and by the next day he'd have forgotten everything. When we got older, after one of our afternoon shopping trips, we'd excitedly have a fashion show for him, and he'd tell us to go buy one in each color. To say he spoilt us rotten would be an understatement. The sofa was the place for endless laughs and cuddles, numerous Tom and Jerry episodes, and many life lessons. One of my most favorite memories is when he taught me how to play cards. This lesson initially began for my sister as he thought I was too young, maybe just 5, but instead I picked it up instead. So now if Mom ever says anything about my playing poker, I have the greatest trump card of all because her dad taught me. Grandpa and I shared one great love, food. He'd always call with a detailed review of what he had to eat at a new restaurant or a party and loved to take us to new places to eat, wanting us to try the best of the best. When he'd call after office and I'd mention I'd be going out late, he'd ask a barrage of questions. How will you go? Who will be there? Who'll drop you home? It's not safe. It's far too late. And try his hardest to convince me not to go. But the minute I mentioned I was going to try a new special dish somewhere, all was seemingly forgiven. I always thought I got my discerning palate from all the ladies in the family, but clearly it was all him. He would have made an excellent food critic. Even over the last few weeks in the hospital, he gave us feedback for everything we got him. The only conclusion I draw from this is that I'm a better chef than Mum because I got less complaints and Mr. Tankariwala's stamp of approval. I'm a chatterbox like him and could go on endlessly to tell you about what he meant to Didi and me, what he taught us and how grateful we are to him and how he changed our lives. He was the greatest role model any of us could ask for, and words don't do justice to capture the man he was. If you ask me, I'd undoubtedly say I'm his favorite granddaughter. Mom would say she's his favorite child, and many of you would say you're his dearest friend. But I'm sure if you ask my sister or my cousins, they'd say the same. So would Bablu Mama, and so would any of you, his friends. And that's the thing about my Jeepu. He loved everyone so deeply, went out of his way to help them, and made each one of us feel so special. Sometimes it doesn't feel real, as though he's just gone for golf and will be back soon. But I know he's watching over us, protecting us, and guiding us. He always looked at us with so much pride, and I hope we can live up to that. Didi had found this beautiful quote which perfectly captures who he was. When the light returns to the source, it takes nothing of what it has illuminated.
I'm here today to celebrate the life of a man, an extraordinary man I had the privilege of knowing closely as father, and once the kids arrived, as Jeepu. I'm convinced he played Cupid to my marriage with Nilufer and welcomed me warmly and readily into the family. I'm indeed blessed many times over to have had him as my father-in-law and a grandfather to our girls. Father was the original cat who walked by himself, never seeking the constant attention nor currying favor with the powers that be. Like a mama cat, he took great care of us, entertaining us, nurturing us, and protecting us from even a whiff of danger by pulling us by the scruff of our necks to safety. An extraordinary man who meant many things to many people: husband, father, friend, mentor, boss, planter, a senior member of the community. The list is endless. What is common across all these roles is that he made light of his achievements and contributions. Inquisitive by nature, storytelling was his forte, and he was ever ready to share a memorable anecdote from his days in Pune, in tea, in Calcutta, to what unique dish he had recently eaten. He always had a story. Combine this with his love of people, friends, old and new, casual acquaintances, strangers in the street, on the golf course, say where, and you have a winner. His natural instinct was to help, guide people through the quagmire called life. On occasion, especially as he got older, the free advice may have got under the skin of a few. Luckily, most people took it as a sign of the affection he felt towards them. Father loved nature. Tea and latterly Tolly gave him the opportunity to enjoy and be with nature. He knew every tree, every shrub, every flower, the creatures that live in them, in fact, which pesticide or fertilizer to use. On many occasions, he had expressed that he would be indeed blessed if he were to drop dead on the golf course in the midst of all that he loved. Above all, he was a family man. He gave us the gift of time and love. It accumulates slowly and steadily, but surely, and over the years, strengthening our bonds and the family. Quality time demands quantity time. It is harder than it seems when the world has so many more alluring and tangible things to occupy yourself with. He even sacrificed his hair so that the grandkids could plait it. Whilst we are now left with memories, they are fond memories which will inspire us and give us strength through good times and bad, the laughter and yes, even the tears, to live our life as you did, positive and dignified till the end. Godspeed, Mr. Jeepu. May angels guide you to the tee of time you want and help you sing that 100-foot putt.
Noshir, my uncle. He was a wonderful and loving brother to my mother, Nawaz. Now they're both together and may they rest in peace. He was a great and supportive uncle, and so many wonderful memories have been flooding into my mind these last few weeks of my uncle and my mother. The wonderful summer holidays when we all congregated to 158 MG Road, Pune. Noshir's love for mangoes. As soon as the Tankariwala clan arrived in Pune, Noshir set off to the market, where he would buy in kilos hand-churned mango ice cream, highlight of the summer holidays. Another anecdote I recall was my grandmother having this largish porcelain dog, and in my exuberance of playing with my sister Binny and my cousins Jangir and Nilufer, this piece broke. Oh dear me, my grandmother went berserk. Don't blame her. Anyway, once the broken pieces were collected and disposed of, Noshir said to me, well done, as he and my mother could not stand the piece. My mother's favorite story was when she and my uncle were young uns. My mother would not speak to anyone in the house. Noshir used to relay her wishes as she would speak only to him. But as she grew up, all that changed. She didn't stop talking. Noshir always looked out for her and us. It's been a hard 2 months for us and the Tankariwala family, and the grief we have gone through. Beautiful memories remain, And we were so fortunate that Sanaya got married in January this year. And as a family, we got together and celebrated. To my uncle Noshir, love you lots. May you rest in peace.
To my loving uncle Noshir, my mother's brother. We have so many wonderful memories of Noshir growing up. He was the best uncle ever. Our childhood was filled with these loving memories of a house with our two families. Noshir lived life to the fullest. He was such a loving, such a kind and an emotional human being. He loved life. It's hard to describe his entire life in a few minutes here. We are going to miss you, Noshir, a lot. It was in January during my niece's Sanu's wedding we all met one last time. Now we are here to bid farewell to the most wonderful brother and sister, my mother and her brother. Both passed away within a couple of months of each other. They came into this world, they brought so much happiness to all of us and so much love for their families. And they both left together. May both their souls rest in eternal peace. Love you, Noshir, and love you, Ma.
Pandit Nachiket ji will now sing his bhajan, Hey Prabhu Parampita. This bhajan used to bring Noshir uncle solace, and he had requested for it to be played at his memorial service.
हे प्रभु परम पिता तुम गुणों की खाने हो, तुम अनादि तुम अनंत पूर्ण तुम महान हो। हे प्रभु परम पिता तुम गुणों की खाने हो, तुम अनादि तुम अनंत पूर्ण तुम महान हो। हे प्रभु परम पिता तुम गुणों की खाने हो। चंद्र सूर्य से विशाल लोक तुम में है बसे, प्राणियों के प्राण तुम सर्वशक्ति माने हो। चंद्र सूर्य से विशाल लोक तुम में है बसे, प्राणियों के प्राण तुम सर्वशक्ति माने हो। कौन ऐसा कर्म है जो छिपाया जा सके, सब जगह सदैव जब आप विद्यमान हो। हे प्रभु परम पिता तुम गुणों की खाने हो। हे प्रभु परम पिता तुम गुणों की खाने हो। नित्य भोजनादि से प्राणियों को पालते, तुम विधाता दाता तुम दया निधान हो। नित्य भोजनादि से प्राणियों को पालते, तुम विधाता दाता तुम दया निधान हो। ढूंढता तुम्हें प्रकाश क्यों गया प्रयाग में, वो हृदय में पाएगा जिसको सच्चा ज्ञान हो। हे प्रभु परम पिता, तुम गुणों की खानी हो। हे प्रभु परम पिता, तुम गुणों की खानी हो। हे प्रभु परम पिता, तुम गुणों की खानी हो। जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्यु, ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च। Whoever is born, to him or her death is certain. To the death, birth is also certain. Birth and death, these two words are attached with our life. The thing which was not existing yesterday but exists today is birth. And thing which was existing yesterday but not exists today is death. The soul is never born, nor does it ever die. It is not something that having been born, it ceases to the unborn, eternal, everlasting. The soul is not killed when the body is killed. Everybody comes to this world and leaves. Upanishad says that Atmanam Rathinam Viddhi Shariram Rathamevatu Buddhim Tusharathim Viddhi Manah Pragramevacha. That means the soul is a passenger, body is chariot, intellect is charioteer, mind is bridle, where the bridle is attached to the horse, which signifies the organ of a body. As a soul always exists, and the God know the movement of the departed soul. So we have assembled to pray for eternal peace of the departed soul of Noshir Farmaji Tankariwala, who was born 13th August 1938 and left this world on 5th September 2020. Om Shanti 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 Om.
Thank you for that beautiful bhajan and prayer, Panditji. We now have some of Noshir Uncle's dear friends saying a few words, starting with Mr. Dev Thapar.
Friends, Nosh was more than a friend to me, a brother, a guide, and my mentor. Whatever I am today can be greatly attributed to his advice and support. Nearly 50 years ago, Veena and myself, a newly married couple, were so fortunate to have met Nosh and Roshni at Dibrugarh tennis courts. Our first meeting impressed Veena so much that she said, I am now reassured of marrying a tea planter, joining tea community with such lovely people around. A sigh of relief for me. Our friendship continued to flourish in Assam and thereafter in Calcutta. Remembering Nosh is both emotional and a pleasure. He was a wonderful human being, always so loving and caring. A brave man, always facing challenges with courage, though a few exceptions. One being a fear of short putt. His famous words while lining up a short putt, I'm going to miss it, I'm going to miss it, it will always be remembered. At the tea table after a round of golf, his stories are legendary. Quite a few relating to a golfer called Jimmy Baines. Nosh was very generous, always the first to take out his card to sign. He will be missed by us all, but let us cherish good memories of days spent with him. Dear Roshni, Bablu, and Nilofa, you are our family and will always be there for you. I prayed to the great architect of the universe to grant Nosh a special place in heaven as he deserves. Thank you.
It is indeed very strange for us all to be gathered
Yes, still.
It is indeed very strange for all of us to be gathered together and not have Nosh in our midst. We know, however, that as we have all gathered to affectionately remember our times with Nosh,
Satish Dhal has asked me to read his Satish Dhal has asked me to read his tribute to Nosh. I read for Satish. It is my honor to speak about my dearest friend, my mentor, Nosh. My friendship with him was more than 50 years. For me, Nosh was a fiery spark full of love and determination. A beautiful soul, smart, challenging and emphatic, encouraging and helpful, one of God's unique creation. Amongst the many qualities that Nosh had, the most striking was that he was a people's man, friendly and gentle to everyone he came across in his life. Simply because Nosh had a heart of gold, making them equal and friendly, and more importantly, helped them in the hour of need. He lived his life in his own terms. He did what he wanted, rather, he walked the talk. And his last journey was as peaceful as he wished. We will fondly cherish the beautiful memories we made together. Nosh leaves behind his lovely wife, charming Roshni. He adored her. I consider myself very fortunate to have spent some time in the hospital before he left us. I would love to mention about the lovely, well brought up, adorable, and full of affection for Nosh's children, Jahangir and Nilufer. They fulfilled their dad's every wish, tirelessly with great devotion. May God bless them and their children with strength to bear this irreplaceable loss. We pray the Almighty embrace you as one of His own. In grief, Satish and Reena Dal.
Could we have Mrs. Minna Devgan, please, to come on? You need to unmute
Minaji,
yourself, please. Yeah.
you're on mute. Can you please unmute yourself?
She said yes, but she hasn't put it on.
Yeah. Is it okay now? Can you hear me? Yeah. Dear friends, we are all gathered here to in remembrance of our very dear friend Nosh. I would first like to convey my sincere sympathy and condolences to the whole family. I shared in their grief and speak with a very heavy heart. There is no better tribute than what the Tollygunge Club has said. We salute an icon and flew the flag at half-mast. That says it all, and I don't think there's a better way that I could say anything regarding that. He lived life to the fullest and his own terms. So we should not mourn his death. We should celebrate his life. Here I would like to talk about a lifelong friendship. There are so many incidents, but I will mention only a few. Our friendship spans over 5 decades. The first couple I met when I arrived in Jorhat as a new bride was Nosh and Roshni. And happily, our friendship grew from strength to strength. And this also extends to our children, who I'm happy to say have continued this friendship. We were in the same tea estate, Karkajan in Assam. Subsequently, we moved to Calcutta, and so did they. Ruby and Nosh were not only colleagues, but also great friends and golf buddies. In this context, I would like to say that it's thanks to Nosh and a few other of his very good friends that Ruby carried on playing golf for as long as he did, as they were so kind and encouraging. When I was sick and had to have an angiogram, it was to Nosh that Ruby turned to take me to the doctor, etc., as he himself was unable to do so. I am happy to say that our friendship continued even after Ruby passed away, and it is to Nosh that I have turned to for help and advice regarding everything. This was always given very willingly. When I wanted to have a golf tournament in Ruby's name, it was Nosh who helped me all the way, and there's no way I could have done it without his help. However, what I'll never forget is how Nosh flew back from Hyderabad the very next day after Ruby passed away. And the beautiful words which he spoke so emotionally on his Jotha did not leave a dry eye. Nosh, my dear friend, you will be remembered and missed, as I have not only lost a very dear friend, but one of very dear and oldest friend, but a guide, helper, and advisor too. I will not say goodbye to our very dear friend, as you will always be there with us. Thank you.
We will now have Sanaya and Rohina singing Amazing Grace, another one of Noshir Uncle's favorite hymns.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, am was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangerous toils and snares, we had already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, with countless days to sing God's praise. And when we first begun, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Our next speaker is Mr. Om Kaul.
Friends,
1 minute.
friends, I so wish today I was a lexophile, which in simple English means a person who's clever with words, and I'm not. I think it must be about 40 years ago, or perhaps more, that I met Nosh. I remember him clearly sitting in his office at Nahartoli and signing a bunch of papers with a pen with green ink. I was truly impressed by his neat signature and the care he took in using the blotting paper to ensure that his signature did not smudge. As I came to know later, Nosh was a sticker for neatness and order. The scrambled eggs or the akuri had to be just of the right consistency. And I cannot remember an occasion when he did not pass a comment on the food served. He was a genuine foodie. Before I forget to mention, all of us golfers were astounded by his phenomenal memory of names, of persons, of events, of conversations that took place decades ago. Unlike me, who can't remember what happened 5 minutes ago. I have spoken of matters that may appear trivial, but they are important to me. How can I ever forget his body language, his utter delight at making a long putt, and that cry of anguish when he missed a really short one. Nosh was a decent, kind, and generous human being who taught us the meaning of dignity. What more can be said of any man? Roshni, Nilofer, Jahangir, Sudha, and I will always be there for you. We will treasure Nosh's letters and memory forever. May God be with you always.
Dear Roshni, Jahangir, Nilofer, and family. Nosh and I have known each other for 5 decades. It has been my proud privilege to have been a close friend and a member of his intimate circle. Nosh started his thick career after graduating from Pune, starting as an assistant with the Moranti company and ended as the MD with his hard work, sincerity, and honesty. He was also elected as the chairman of the industry's research body known as TRA. Nosh was considered a very well-informed planter. His knowledge about tea planting and manufacture was exemplary. He was also appointed on various tea committees and contributed vastly in the progress of the industry. He was not only hardworking, but an able leader who was willing to share his knowledge and assist his colleagues and juniors. He was also popular with the workforce, whom he treated very fairly. Besides being well versed in his work, he was also a first-class sportsman, being an excellent footballer, cricketer, and of course golfer. I look forward to playing our game of golf together with Nosh every week, and I felt quite privileged to see my name going up on the whole in one board close to Nosh's, although his name appears many more times. We have been co-directors in a few tea companies where he was respected for his valuable contributions. I enjoyed our many discussions and the sharing of advice with each other on multiple occasions. Besides his professional career, he was a member of the Minority Commission and senior trustee of various Parsi organizations. We have laughed along with Nosh at the Parsi sense of humor and at the annual Parsi Natak, which we watch together. On a regular basis, Roshni, Nosh, Sujata and myself would go to movies and end up having dinner at different restaurants. Nosh was a connoisseur of food, and we always had the best and the choicest of meals. In Nosh's passing away, not only as Calcutta and the community lost a very nice and kind human being, an able leader, but more importantly, Sujata and I have lost a dear friend whose place in our hearts will be very difficult to fulfill. Nosh, I will miss my weekly golf with you, but you will remain in our hearts forever. We send all our love and strength to Roshni. We send to Roshni, Jahangir, Nilofer, and pray to God to bear his loss with courage.
a man with a heart of gold, a razor-sharp mind, and a very strong conscience. I must say, in the last 25 years that I have known him, I've rarely met a person with such a combination. And I must say also his other attributes were unique. His golf, his cricket, his other sporting events, and his sportsmanlike behavior with all these items. His was a very peculiar attitude towards human beings, which is very, very rare. So, all in all, Nosh was a rare person. He was very fond of food. His wife Roshni was a great cook. Her culinary display on her table was well known. And she had lovely children, Bablu and Nolifer, and Bablu and Nilifer, and they were both very, very attentive to him in his last lap. And I must say that made a very, very good family. Nosh was a unique person in all respects. In all respects, I mean, for human being and humanity in all way. And we were all going to miss him, but nevertheless, he'll be with us in mind and matter all the time till we live. I would only say a small prayer for him. Atma Shakti Mokshami. Atma Shakti Mokshami. In other words, I hope his soul rests in peace and everything in his life which we know of has a good ending.
Nosh Tankariwala, whose life we have come to celebrate today, was a good and a great and a true friend. I knew him for the last 30 years when he was the managing director of a tea company in Calcutta. Ever since, our friendship grew and was nurtured lovingly by both of us. We played golf, shared tea after the game at Tolly, and we all four balls do the traded stories of family interests, life in general, politics, and economics for a number of years. His wisdom, grace, and his elegance constantly enriched me and did the stylist honor. Our relationship extended beyond just the two of us. The encompassed Nirmal and Roshni too were frequently met over meals, shared stories about our children and grandchildren and the great privilege of our life. The bond and the trust Nosh shared with all of us is irreplaceable. Nirmal joins me in extending our deepest condolences to Roshni, Nilofar, and Jahangir and the wider family. Roshni, let me reassure you that we both are for you. As and when you need us, we will be at your beck and call. Nosh, we will always miss you and hope God grants you happiness and peace in the afterlife. Thank you.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.
We now have Mr. Mickey Chinoy to speak, please.
Just step back, right? Yeah, go ahead. Noshir Tankariwala was always the perfect gentleman. Together with Roshni, they made a wondrous couple. My wife Shahnaz joins me in sending our deepest sympathy to our dear friend Roshni and to Jahangir and Nilüfer and the 4 beloved granddaughters. When I cast my mind back, I find a number of decisions have been blatantly wrong. The one correct one, right on the spot, was when I invited Nosh to join the Tolly committee. To my delight, he accepted, and his contribution to the club was immense. A few years later, he became president, and his contribution was even larger. When he retired as president, he was always available at past presidents' meetings, where he came forth with very useful and valuable suggestions. Like his friends and family, I too will miss him a great deal. I will miss his smile, his wit, his sense of humor, and above all, I will regret that I shan't be able to play a round of golf with him. My dear friend Nosh, rest in peace.
Kiran Aunty, you can start, please.
Dearest Nosh, this comes with all love and fondest memories of our 50 years. Thank you for being such a beautiful part of our lives. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you, what we were to each other, that we still are. call me by my old familiar name and speak to me in the easy way which you always used to. Put no difference in your tone, wear no air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Let my name forever be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken with the same effect, without the forming of a shadow of it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is unbroken continuity. Why shall I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I'm waiting for you for an interval somewhere very near, just round the corner. All is well.
Gulu uncle, please go ahead. Uncle, please start.
We are together today to remember our friend Nosh and celebrate his life. I am aware time is short, so I will try to be brief. Yet, brevity in Nosh's case has to be a challenge. What with his larger-than-life persona? Nosh was a multifaceted man, each facet being wondrous in its construct. A doting husband, a caring and loving father and grandfather, he was a great friend and a thorough professional. He was extremely kind to all his friends, and we have benefited from his help, his kindness, and warmth over time. His long stories laced with great humor are already legendary. The industry had tremendous respect for Nosh, and he is remembered for the role that he played at the TRA at a very crucial juncture. Not only that, he did brilliantly in his own company. Our association goes back to 1972 when Nosh and Roshni came to Mariani. Sonia and I had just got married. We were both warmly embraced by them, and even warmer invitations came to their lovely home. Sonia and Roshni continued sharing great rapport and warmth from 1972. Their affection and love and care during Sonia's illness I can never forget. Nosh was always kind, warm, witty, and extremely competitive at the many games that he played. Importantly, he was fair and a good loser if it ever came to that. How brave he could be is something we only discovered recently. Bablu and Nilufer, as you cope with your huge loss, please do it with a swell of pride. Your father was a truly exceptional man. My memory has gone foggy, and forgive me if the quote that follows is not too accurate. In reference to Nosh, I say, here was a man, whence comes such another? I never wrote these words, but Willie Shakespeare did. It's so apt for my friend Nosh. Nosh left us all too suddenly, and today we mourn a good man. He was truly a great amalgam of a life well lived and friendships well served. Nosh will be always with us, and I want to assure Roshni Bablu, and Nilofer that we, his friends, will be always there for you. In conclusion, if that is the appropriate word, Nosh, your friends have been much better off for having known you. Thank you and rest in peace, my brother.
It is indeed very strange for of all of us to be together and not have Nosh in our midst. We know, however, that as we have all gathered to affectionately remember our times with Nosh, he may be unseen, but he is certainly with us, watching over us, and probably shedding a tear as he hears our recollections of past times. Roshni, Bablu and Nilufer, I honestly realize it is practically impossible to appropriately eulogize Nosh enough. He was your husband, your companion, and to one another, your everything. Bablu and Nilufer, to you, his children, who he was so devoted to, he was a loving father and a role model for you to follow. Tread lovingly in his footsteps. He was truly blessed to have accomplished so much during his lifetime. All the messages from friends that we have read and pictures of condolence meetings where people have gathered, held on plantations, school and offices where Nosh has been associated with, speaks of the high esteem that so many in so many spheres held Nosh in. I sum up our thoughts of Nosh. He was a true friend par excellence. Audrey and I will miss him, but we cherish knowing that we'll have Roshni's companionship to treasure in double measure. You and Nosh have been our dearest friends over many, many years. You both were always there for us, through good times, joyful times, and through uncertain times too. You were always there for us. Our children are heartbroken to know that Uncle Nosh is no longer with us. In the Parsi community, our major tenet is Ushte Te, happiness unto him who brings happiness to others. Nosh, our dear friend, you have always meaningfully walked that thought each day of your years on earth. Up country, a lot of us knew Nosh as Tanky. And now, when we say our fond farewell to our dear friend, I will use an old English word, Tanky, for all your love and affection to us over the years. Till we meet again, our dear friend, may God be with you. May you have eternal rest in the Almighty's grand pavilion after the spectacular innings you have played. Amen.
Very recently, I had sent a video message to Mr. Tankariwala while he was at the hospital, praying to Almighty for his fast recovery, but unfortunately did not realize that God had other plans. Mr. Tankariwala has been a legend in tea. All the high offices in tea, be it TRA, ITA, Toligans Club, President of the Minorities Commission, he's held all high offices. In tea, he started his career with James Finlay in the late 50s, became a V at a very early age, and continued to be with Tata Tea and resigned in 1989 to join as an MD of Moran Tea Company. I was fortunate enough to join under him in 1982 at Kakajan. The 3 years I spent with him were the formating years for me in tea. The training I got from him as a mentor, as a guide, as a teacher, as a fatherly figure held me in good stead as I rose up the ladder within my company. In fact, the entire team which worked with him at Kakajan in the early 80s had very high regard for him and had very fond memories. And till date, we were in touch with him. Be it his birthday or his marriage anniversary, we would get in touch with him. And in case we were, because of work or something, we got delayed in calling him up. He used to call us up that, how's everything? You haven't called us for quite a few months. Hope everything is good at your end. It was very nice of him. He was an excellent man, an excellent sports person. I think whichever sport field he touched, he excelled in that, be it tennis, golf, cricket, whatever he did it with excellence. In fact, I remember an incident while playing tennis with him at Kakajan. I had just joined tea, and on a club day on Thursday, Mr. Tankariwala said, Deepak, you be my partner and you're playing against Jamal Khan and Dora. And he said, Deepak, you be at the nets and I'll take care of the baseline shots. I said, fine, sir. I'd never played at the nets, so I was not very comfortable. And then playing with him also was causing stress to me. And Dora and Jamal could fathom that, my problem. So when we started playing, so all the shots kept coming at me, and it looked as if my racket had a hole in it. Everything kept going past me. And ultimately, we lost the game and the set. And then Mr. Tankariwala said that I was playing against 3 players. So that was his fighting spirit. He used to fight to the last point. And I think that's the spirit he treated life with. During his last days in the hospital, he really fought very hard, which many of us would not be able to do so. He was an excellent man. For me, he was more like a father. His passing away is like me losing my father once again. He was a very loving husband, very loving father to his children, and an excellent friend. We will miss him, his kind words, his guidance. We will all miss that. I pray to God to grant his soul eternal peace and give the strength to Mrs. Tankariwala, Bablu, and Nilufar to bear this irreplaceable loss. Hari Om.
Mr. Rahul Bhasin is next.
Noshanku, what can I say? What can I say about a man who, I'm not sure whether it was 1968 or 1969, in the Jorhat Club, where I think they create events to have little children win awards which they don't deserve. I got some prize for some flower arrangement, which I have no clue what I did. But I remember Nosh uncle walking up to me and lifting me up and praising me as if I had conquered the world. I also remember in his garden, I'd gone there with my parents, and I think Bablu and my elder sister Sonia were blowing bubbles very adeptly, and I was thoroughly incompetent at doing that. It was Nosh uncle who noticed, came by, gently offered me some solutions and helped me blow bubbles. What do you say about a man who shows up suddenly and just picks you up, takes you to Newmarket to eat batata puri? made the right way, because most people don't know how to eat it correctly. One could carry on, but I guess the only thing I can do is complain about the fact that you've left us. And though I'm now 55, and I think one should be adequately prepared that, at some point we have to accept the circle of life. With someone like Nosh Uncle, it just seems too soon. He was always very loving, always very gracious, offered advice on all kinds of things, very gently, but with a wisdom that is incomparable. After my father passed away in 2008, Nosh Uncle made it an effort to make sure that he was constantly in touch with me. The best Parsi jokes I've ever heard in my life came from Nosh Uncle. In fact, the best Punjabi jokes too. We'd discuss stocks, we'd keep in touch, and it was amazing what his curiosity level was for everything and anything. I remember a few months ago, he was fascinated with who built the pyramids and how they could have been built. He was just incredible at every level, in every which way, in terms of gentleness, in terms of graciousness, in terms of wisdom. But I guess you all know that. Everybody here on the call knows that. Right? And to me, it's a big loss. After my father went, Rovi Uncle Grover went, now Nosh Uncle, it just feels like a vacuum in a very major way. And I think that given what I know of Nosh Uncle, I know that, he would want us to look at this and look at everything with a positive light and a positive spirit. And I just want to read out a few lines to you, which I think that is what he would want to tell us and leave us with. I give you this thought to keep. I'm with you sick, I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond that glints in the snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circle flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not think of me as gone. I am with you still in each and every new dawn. I want you to know, Uncle Nosh, that we will always remember you. And I speak on behalf of my sisters Sonia and Shivani, and on behalf of Kiran Auntie. We'll always think of you in every aspect of nature whenever we see it, knowing how much you loved it and how deeply animated you were. And as far as we are concerned, you're always with us. And Roshni Auntie, Bablu, Nilufer, we're always with you in every which way. Thank you.
I am deeply grateful to my precious family and to all the speakers, both seen and unseen, for sharing such kind and wonderful words about my beloved husband. And to Nilufer, Nayantara, and especially Anayata for spending hours to make this video possible. In our 58 years of marriage, Nosh and I have made a beautiful circle of friends, some of whom have been in our lives from the time we were married, some dear ones whom we have lost, and others who became a part of our lives later on, whose friendship we value immensely. I know there are ever so many of you here watching this glorious tribute, which would have made him extremely happy. I am very grateful to all of you. Last but not least, I wish to thank Ratan Posfala for moderating and hosting this memorial service. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the memorial service will now conclude with the Aarti Om Jai Jagdish, followed by My Way, a song that so aptly describes the man, the legend, Noshir Tankariwala.